Talis is a tech-focused weapon, being able to merge photon arts with techniques. Unlike every other weapon that has a set of 3 photon arts, the Talis only has 2, including the weapon action. The Force class and the Tector class both have access to the Talis weapon, both sharing the same skills, but you might have noticed that the Force and Tector both have the same Talis skills on their skill tree. That's where you should be quote-unquote mindful where you spend your points, since I think Tector and Force both have most skills out of the others due to both having the new elemental skills, like Zen Gale, Grant's Glitter, and Midget Spear. If you do a build as a Force main and a Tector sub, I would invest points into the 4 Talis skills on this Force tree, and none on the Tector tree as a sub. The skills are Tricky Capacitor Quick Recharge, Talis Bloom Revoke, and Floating Pillbox Multi-Rock. The Talis skills on the Tector skill tree only has 3, due to it not having the bonus of Talis' Tricky Capacitor Quick Recharge passive, which is only accessible through the Force tree as a Force main class. But honestly, it's not a big deal, you're just losing the ability to charge the Tricky Capacitor active faster, but that shouldn't stop you from playing Tector as a main class. Tricky Capacitor is an active that spawns Talises and shooting them to the enemy. They won't track movement, so they'll just fly in a straight line once used. These are just something to keep in mind whenever you're using a Talis with these skills. Both are equally good, just Tector main class won't have access to the quick recharge that Force has for Talis, but I honestly don't think it'll be an issue. Now, the Photon Arts for Talis is interesting in its own way. Since it only has 2 Photon Arts plus the weapon action, they have a bit more value than just not having a 3rd Photon Art. Convergence Shot fires a single blast towards the enemy, pretty self-explanatory, and surrounding yourself inside a ring. I'll mention more about this later. The Spread Shot for Talis fires a burst of wide-range attacks at close range, but this Photon Art has a little twist. If you tap the Photon Art, you'll fire a wide burst in front of you, but if you tap the Photon Art and then wait a second, that attack will change into a 360 wide AoE attack, attacking enemies around you. These are pretty basic PAs, but there are a lot more that you can do with these. Like so, you can actually infuse techniques together with both of these Photon Arts with any element of your choice. This will not work with a weapon action though. So coming back to the Convergence Shot PA, when you cast PA once, you'll notice a ring surrounding your character. This means that any techniques that you would cast normally is instead applied to this Photon Art, instead inflicting enemies with elemental damage. You will notice a visual change whenever it takes effect. The Spread Shot PA, however, is a little different. If you tap the PA and attack immediately afterwards, any technique that you cast will change into a 3 elemental shots depending on whatever technique you are casting. The second variant to the PA, when you wait after the first PA cast, Talises will surround your character, giving you the ability to cast techniques, but applied with the Spread Shot PA with any techniques being casted. You can see the difference between the two, where the first version will show 3 Talis cards only in front of you, where the second version shows 6 cards in all directions. However, once you use the Talis Photon Art, you won't be able to cast techniques normally like you usually would. If you want to revert into normal technique casting, all you need to do is hold the weapon action, and the rings around your character will disappear, and you're able to now cast techniques normally. If you want to combine Talis PAs and techniques, just be sure to use any Talis PA first and then techniques after. Keep in mind that when you do this, you don't need to spam the Photon Art itself to inflict elemental damage, but on the technique button itself. So you can either use Convergence Shot PA or the Spread Shot PA once, and proceed to casting techniques. Your attacks will all change whenever you press the button assigned to the technique. The Photon rings will last about 20 to 25 seconds until you're back to normal when casting techniques. Talis' weapon action has its perks as well. It may not be great for damage output, but it's great for accumulating PP regen. What I mean by this is the weapon action will probably do like 1 to 10 damage max, but this is a handy tool for regenning PP. If you use the weapon action while moving, you'll only summon 1 Talis card, hitting 1 enemy at a time. But if you use the weapon action while standing still, you'll summon 3 Talis cards in a triangle formation, but hitting multiple enemies within range. This by far is a very handy tool for PP regen. But yeah, that's literally it. This gives Talis the uniqueness to still apply elemental damage within the Talis' PAs, but the Talis still has the ability to cast techniques normally. This is probably the shortest guide that I've made. There's not much to cover in terms of playability and whatnot. But I hope this helps. If it did, leave it a thumbs up, sub to the channel for more PSO2 content, share this video with your friends if they're interested, and have a great day. And as always, happy grinding.